Buenas noches. Good evening. I thought I would do another story during the weekend when kids are out of school because I have so many books that I want to cover for Black History Month. So I'm gonna start another book this evening. I did one yesterday just to kick off Black History Month. Voy a leer otro libro porque tengo muchos libros que quiero leer ahora para honrar a los afroamericanos durante el mes de su historia que se celebra. Um, I'm going to read The Black Snowman, and this book I have in Spanish. Lo tengo en español, El muñeco de nieve negro. This is one of my favorite books I used to read to kids. A good message. This story is by Carol Bayard. Um, no, actually by Phil Mendez. Carol is the illustrator. So I am going to read this book. It's got some wonderful illustrations here by Carol. This is way back in during African times. Somewhere in the lowly grass hut in Western Africa, an aged storyteller prepares for the arrival of the village children. He tells story of Anansi the spider, stories of how Anansi's head came to be so small and how jealousy came to the Ashanti tribe. The storyteller is ready except for one important thing, a brightly colored kente. As he wraps the cloth around him, his mind transforms into that of a young native. As an old man, he has forgotten many stories, but when he wears his magic kente, the stories are quick and sharp in his mind. The kente restores his memory. The storyteller ritual continues for many years. Village children grow up, have their own children, and send them to hear and to learn. But one day the storytelling comes to an end. Do you see his colorful kente? It's his like his shawl. I don't have an African one. Well, I might. Oh, let me see. Hang on a second. I do have one that is similar. I just pulled it out where I have my collection. So he would wear his colored kente to tell his stories. Um, and so this revived his mind because he's an older man now. So now this magic kente brings his mind to a young state so that he can recall all the stories of when he was a young warrior. But then the story stopped. If you know history, you'll know what happened. Look at this illustration. See the black man with in bondage. They are being taken on a ship. Do you see the ship in the back over here? What happened to the African people? How did they get to America? Here, let me remind you with a story. This African warrior has the kente that is going to be taken to America, and he is chained. Invaders capture the village and seize their property. The prisoners are loaded onto ships that cross the vast ocean, the huge ocean. to the continent called America, where the African people are sold into slavery. The magic kente is sold too. It passes through generations, even after slavery is no more. 1,000 uses fray its delicate threads until it is discarded as a useless rag. So it becomes torn because it's been passed from generation to generation. But it still possesses the magic and it still has wonders to perform. So even though it's old and torn, the magic is still there. So now generations have passed, and here we are in a more modern time with this little boy. His name is Jacob. Jacob Miller always woke up late on Saturday mornings, but not today. When his eyes opened, his heart was beating rapidly. He did not remember his dream, but it must have been a bad one. He felt frightened. He felt angry. Jacob reached out to turn on the light. On the base of the lamp, a cowboy swung a lasso that formed a trimming for the bottom of the shade. The cowboy's hand was chipped, the lasso torn. The boy who owned the lamp for the very first time would be an old man by now, meaning that this lamp was old, maybe a hand me down. Jacob would have chosen a lamp with robots or space warriors, but like everything else he owned, the lamp was old and well used. It made Jacob furious just to look at it. So he never seemed to get new things. So that tells you that he is what? Very poor. So here is his mom and his older brother. Jacob dressed quickly and followed delicious breakfast smells coming from the kitchen. His younger brother, Pee Wee, was standing beside their mother at the stove. Can we go Christmas shopping today? Pee Wee asked. Well, not today, Mama said. Not today or any day, Jacob interrupted. Poor folks like us can't afford Christmas. Now, Jacob, Mama spoke, trying to smooth over the hurt she saw rushing into Pee Wee's eyes. Maybe we won't go shopping together, but I know there's gonna be presents. Sure, Jacob said. Maybe we'll get some old socks from that well-known clothing store, the Salvation Army. Jacob's bitter words mocked his mother. Hurt, she yelled back at him. Don't you ever talk like that in this house. Ever. Do you hear me, Jacob? Please don't fight, Pee Wee cried. Mama, Jacob, sorry. So Jacob is very angry at life because he says that they're probably going to get Christmas stuff from the Salvation Army, probably where he got that lamp. But even though Pee Wee said that Jacob was sorry, Jacob wasn't sorry. For his this scene was repeated at least once a week. The words were not always the same, but the hurt was the same. Jacob walked away and sat quietly on the same stool he always sat on. He held his head in his hands, then stared out the kitchen window, holding back his tears. Nothing was said as Mama mixed and poured pancake batter into the skillet. Jacob knew his mother was waiting for an apology, but he couldn't speak to her. She stumbled over her words. I know it's hard on you, son. We're just going through some rough times now, but Jacob broke down in a rage. I hate being black. I hate it. A chill ran down Mama's back as if her spine were a huge icicle. Being black ain't got nothing to do with it, son. Everything black is bad, Jacob repeated words he'd heard others say. You ever heard of a black house? No, but there's a white house. A black tornado cleans your sink. A black one destroys your house. And how about fairy tales? It's the white knight who wins and the black one who loses. Good magic is white. Black magic is bad. That's nonsense, Jacob, Mama answered. Those are just tired old words I've been hearing since I was a girl. So Jacob was mad and comparing everything black to everything that was bad. That's what he had heard throughout his life, just like his mom had. Then something happens where that the tension is broken and they start to laugh. Let's find out. Pee-wee tugged at Mother's skirt. Mama, not now, Pee-wee, Mama said, staring sadly at her older son. Pee-wee tried again. Mama! Shh, Mama said, but as she turned around, she noticed smoke rising from the pan. She looked inside and started to laugh. Pee-wee laughed too. What's so funny? Jacob asked. That's it, she said. The man in the pan. There's no man in there, said Jacob, just a black pancake. Child, you have no imagination. Still laughing, Mamma bustled about the kitchen until her masterpiece was complete. She gave the pancake man 2 Cheerios for eyes and a sausage for a mouth. Jacob tried to hold back a smile but could not. He laughed so hard he felt ready to burst. Mamma tickled Jacob when both boys tickled her back, and they all found themselves on the kitchen floor. Mama doubled over, Jacob and Pee-wee kicking their feet in the air. Do you think our pancake man is happy being black? Jacob asked. Of course, said Mama. Happy ain't got no color. Then Jacob's laughter disappeared as quickly as it had come. This is dumb, he said as he grabbed his coat and walked out the door. So that he laughed for a little bit, but then all that anger came back. And there he goes. He went outside. The morning was crispy cool. Patches of white snow winked brightly between puddles of gray, foot-worn slush. Horns honked at children who aimed their snowballs at buses and trucks. Jacob stepped out into a battle. 2 snowballs exploded on either side of him. He jumped out into the battlefield, dodged a few missiles, then retreated out back, where he could sit on the cellar door and be alone. But it was no use. Pee-wee was already on his trail. What do you want? Jacob asked. I just want to play with my big brother, said Pee-wee. Let's build a snowman. We can't build a snowman, Jacob snapped. Just look at that snow. It's watery and black from all the people trampling on it. Then we'll make a black snowman, said Pee-wee. A black snowman, sighed Jacob. Just what I always wanted. Can you see what they built? Jacob watched as Pee-wee packed the snow with his small hands. At the rate you're going, you won't be done until spring, Jacob said. With Jacob's help, the work went quickly. The harder Jacob worked, the better he felt. This black snowman sure could use some dressing up, he suggested. It was Pee-wee's job to pick through the trash to find a wardrobe. Still wool for his hair, buttons for his eyes, and a funny old hat. Pee-wee looked at their snowman proudly. But Jacob had a more critical eye. He kept looking and saying, something's missing, he said. Like what? Pee-wee asked. Like it's cold out here. Find him something to wear or on his shoulders. Pee-wee returned to the trash where a colorful cloth caught his eye. Look at this, Pee-wee said as he held up the cloth for his brother to see. Do you see it right here? Does it look familiar to you? Look at it. You remember? Oh. Nah, Jacob scowled. Don't use that. It doesn't go with the rest of him. find something else. Well, I like it, Pee-wee said, and I'm going to use it. Pee-wee carefully draped the cloth around the snowman's lumpy body. Though old and torn, the cloth began to come alive, again with powers passed down through many generations. Pee-wee had discovered the magic hente. Now he's perfect, Pee-wee said. Jacob looked at the sooty snowman in his tattered hat and shawl. So he saw the snowman that was full of the ash, the soot, and his torn shawl, his tattered shawl. He felt sad and angry at the same time. A black snowman, Jacob said, is that ugly? But it has magic, remember? And look what happens. Who are you calling ugly? The boys looked around, but saw no one. No one. Who said that? Jacob asked. I did. Over here. It's our snowman, Pee-wee said, skipping with delight. Our snowman can talk. Jacob stared suspiciously. The snowman picked up Pee-wee and lifted him high. Well, look there, said the snowman, a little one who still believes. The snowman put Pee-wee down again, and they danced. We have to go, said Jacob. The snowman led his partner toward Jacob. But you haven't danced yet, said the snowman. Why, it's downright impolite. It's not polite not to dance with a new friend. Do you think Jacob's going to want to dance? You're no friend of mine, said Jacob. The snowman walked around Jacob. He pressed his glove to Jacob's forehead and squinted. He closed his eyes, kind of almost shut in concentration. The snowman colors changed from gray to pink to yellow to red to blue and finally to a solid black. It was as if all the colors in space had painted themselves onto his body. He opened his eyes wide as if he had made a sudden discovery. Ah, so black is bad, huh? Said the snowman. That's right, Jacob spoke up. What is more important in a book? The white pages or the black words or the message the book holds? Asked the snowman. Huh? Jacob looked puzzled. The heavens are black. The universe is held in it, the snowman said. Shall we call the earth bad because it is cradled in its blackness? Jacob didn't know what to say. The snowman continued. Have you sat at the table of your forefathers? Have you accepted the shield of courage they have passed along to you? Jacob hesitated. He didn't know what the crazy snowman was talking about. He was telling him all about history, his ancestors, and all the things that were black and good, like the universe and the letters on a book, like here. The white page means nothing. It's the letters that convey the magic of a story. See that? Jacob, Pee-wee, Mama called from the window. Oh, brother, it's Mama, Pee-wee spoke up, then yelled back, Coming, Ma! The snowman broke the spell. We will meet again. We will meet again, Jacob. My work with you has just begun. The boys scooted down the alley into the street. In the hallway, they agreed not to tell their mother or anyone else about what had just happened. And the snowman stays behind. And here they are at night, but Jacob cannot seem to fall asleep. Wide awake. Night's curtain fell upon the day. The room was dark except for the streetlights showed showed dimly through the window. So what do you think about our snowman? Pretty neat, huh? Said Pee-wee. What's so neat about an ugly black snowman? Jacob asked. He's no ordinary snowman, said Pee-wee. I don't want to talk about him, said Jacob. But he's alive, said Pee-wee. Our snowman is alive. Where is Jacob? Pee-wee falls asleep, but not Jacob. It's just your imagination, Jacob lied. Now go to sleep and leave me alone. Then let's talk about Christmas, Pee-wee said. I want to get Mama something really special this year. Jacob became angry. Don't you understand anything? We don't have any money. But I have a plan. We can collect empty bottles and cans and turn them in for refund money, Pee-wee explained. If we collect a whole lot, we can buy Mama a special present. We can buy her that perfume that she liked so much. What do you think, huh, Jacob? Where are you going to get all those cans and bottles, Pee-wee? You'll have to walk half the city to find them. Oh, no, answered Pee-wee. I've seen cans all over that old building across the street. That's where a lot of people throw their stuff. No way, said Jacob. Don't you go near that place. The building is falling to pieces, and Mama will get angry. Anyway, I ain't looking through nobody's garbage. Jacob could tell that Pee-wee was sleeping, but Jacob's mind was too crowded with confusing thoughts to fall asleep just yet. Then Jacob heard a noise. Arise, great warrior. He was asleep. He heard a voice. Can you guess who was calling him? Calling him great warrior. Whoa, look at this illustration. The warriors of the great warriors of Africa, the chiefs, the kings. As Jacob approached the window, a blue-white light rose from the alley below. The snowman was standing with his hands up toward the sky. He waved at the broken wall of the building, and with a single brick dislodged and fell. On its way down, the brick changed its shape. And standing in an alley was an African warrior. Then the snowman threw a trash can lid high into the air. As it spun, it turned into a majestic queen. Jacob put his coat over his pajamas and ran outside. Can you see the warrior and his queen? Wow, the magic is working. Look at Jacob's face. Kind of dark, but can you see how surprised he is through the window? Right here. This is a dark illustration, but I'm going to see if you can make it out. It's all warriors, African warriors. The snowman stepped onto a mound of snow, then waved his arms and asked, have you studied with the scholars of Timbuktu? Suddenly, a small clump of snow transformed into a giant figure. Or ridden with the horsemen of Bornu? With just the wave of his arm, the horse and rider rose out of the snow. Have you danced with the Zulu, wrestled with the Nuba, hunted with the Bini? Have you heard the stories of Ashanti, the poems of Tuareg, the prayers of Sunday? Who are these people? Jacob asked. They are people like you, the snowman replied. These are strong, brave Africans from whom you descend, black people who should make you proud of your heritage. I'm not like them, Jacob said. I'm not a warrior. I'm just a boy. Jacob ran back upstairs and hid under his blankets, but he could not fall asleep for a long, long time. So all of these warriors came alive, and the snowman mentioned all the leaders of all the brave tribes from his ancestors from Africa. And the next morning, Jacob woke to see Pee-wee at his bedside with a shopping bag in his hand. "This is your last chance," Pee-wee said. "Are you coming or not?" Jacob rolled over, turning his back toward Pee-wee. "Go hunt garbage by yourself," said Jacob, and he pretended to go back to sleep until his brother left the room. After Jacob dressed, he poked around the kitchen stove to see what Mama was cooking for Sunday dinner. I'm making your favorite," said Mama. Mama was always trying to make things better. Pee-wee was right. She deserved something special for Christmas. "I'm going out for a while," Jacob said. This illustration is also hard to see. Trying to make it out. It's the African people leading Jacob and Pee-wee out the door. It's just kind of dark shadows, but it's there. I don't know if you can make it out. See, right here is one, a head of a warrior, and over here is the body, and here is Pee-wee and Jacob coming out. Jacob looked up and down the block, but Pee-wee was nowhere in sight. Then, shaboom! An explosion. Jacob hit the ground and hit his head. When he looked up, he saw smoke and fire coming from the abandoned building across the street. The black snowman appeared at his sight. "Pee-wee's in the building," he said. The snowman ran into the burning building with Jacob close behind. Great licking flames devoured everything they touched. Wooden beams collapsed as the fire consumed their last bit of moisture. The air was filled with smoke, smoke that seemed to form the shapes of the great Africans, giving Jacob courage and leading him to his brother. Jacob pressed himself close to the coolness of the snowman's body, and the snowman covered himself and the boy with the kente. Beneath this magical cloth, they were saved from the smoke and the flames. You see how they're protecting themselves with the kente, and the snowman holding their hand, while Jacob grabs Pee-wee from the burning building. In a room on the second floor, they found Pee-wee huddled in a corner, sobbing between coughs, sniffing next to the shopping bag that was half full with bottles and cans. As Jacob hugged his brother, he noticed the trail of water that the snowman was leaving behind him. The snowman's feet had melted away. "Restore! Restore!" the snowman said, and the snow returned to his feet. The snowman removed the kente from his own shoulders and wrapped the two boys in his protective magic. Under the safety of the kente, there was only room for two. The snowman melted rapidly. He was no longer protected because he gave the kente to the boys to protect them. His feet and legs had turned to slush. He walked awkwardly, bumping into burning beams and stumbling over debris. His melting arms felt for the doorway and found Jacob's outstretched arm. "Snowman!" Jacob whispered. "Snowman!" And here's the kente and the warrior protecting and leading the boys out to safety. "Restore! Restore!" the snowman repeated, but was weakening. "Jacob, get your brother out, Jacob. Believe, Jacob. Believe in yourself. Gather up your courage. Fight, Jacob. Fight off the flames of all those bad feelings you carry inside. Believe in your strength. Believe in your love for your brother. Believe that you can save Pee Wee, and you will. Almost overcome with fear, Jacob said softly, I believe, Snowman. I believe. Restore, the snowman said once again. Jacob wrapped the cloth even tighter around himself and his brother, and fought smoke and flames all the way down the stairs. Once again, the Africans appeared and showed Jacob the way. When the boys reached the bottom, they turned around. The snowman was gone, leaving only a puddle of water, water that soon evaporated in the extreme heat. The snowman is gone. You see the firemen as they arrive, and Jacob and Pee Wee's mom holds his two sons in her arms. You see that right here? Where do you think he is? Pee Wee asked. One of the bottom steps Jacob noticed steel wool buttons and a funny old hat. Think he's gone, Jacob said. As the boys left the burning building, they saw their mother break through the crowd. Jacob felt smothered in hugs and kisses. He decided that it was a good feeling. Jacob closed his eyes and took a long, deep breath. He suddenly felt lucky to have Pee Wee and Mama. He felt glad to be alive, and he felt good about himself. Restored, yes. My cans, said Pee Wee. I forgot my cans for Mama's present. Hush, said Jacob. We'll look for cans tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll go together. Ooh, look what's left. Do you see it? It took several hours for the fire department to put out the blaze. Finally, it was all over. On his way back to the truck, one of the firemen noticed a colorful cloth hovering over the snow, thinking his daughter could use the cloth to make a dress for her doll. He picked it up and put it in his pocket. So now the magical kente is going to a little girl to make its magic. Can you imagine? Oh, I love that story. I think it's a great story of the kente. This is actually a shawl, but I could make it believe that it's a magical kente for when I do stories to bring the magic to you. I love that story. I hope you liked it. I know I didn't announce it, so maybe I didn't have some people watching it live, but I hope some did. I need to get better at announcing it so I can have an audience, a live audience. But anyway, I am going to take a break and get ready to do the same story for you en español. El muñeco de nieve negro. Okay? I will see you in a little while. If you want to hear it in Spanish, you're welcome to keep listening. I hope you do. All right. I love that story. I hope you liked it too. See you later in a little bit.